Hi, this is Steve with OSNEXUS, and in this video we're going to set up Ceph in 5 minutes or less. Ceph is a object storage technology that is largely maintained by Red Hat. It's fully integrated into QuantaStor's software-defined storage system, and you can actually manage multiple Ceph clusters with QuantaStor. QuantaStor's got a unique storage grid technology that allows you to connect multiple appliances together. Here we've got 3 appliances in our QuantaStor storage grid, and we're going to go and configure these 3 appliances into a Ceph cluster, and then we're going to go configure that Ceph cluster and get all that done within 5 minutes. So the preparatory work behind what you see here today is we installed the QuantaStor operating system on these 3 appliances, and then we booted them up and then logged into the web interface, and we have set up the IP address on the initial IP address on these 3 boxes, and we've put in our license keys. You can get our license keys from our website. We also have community edition licenses that'll let you set up QuantaStor with up to 20 terabytes of storage per appliance. I'm going to take you through setting up the network interfaces before we go and deploy Ceph, doing some basic checks, and then we're going to go do the Ceph configuration at the end here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have a front end and a back end network for my Ceph configuration. So I'm going to use the 10.0.8 network as the front end. We want to set up a back end network for Ceph to communicate on. So we're going to go and do some configuration here. We're going to set a static IP on the other port. We're going to put this on the 10.1 network. So we're going to have a 10.1.8.220. So it mirrors the other network port that we've got set up there. You could set this to jumbo frames if you're using 10 gigabit Ethernet. Let's go ahead and do that. And we've got the first one being configured. Let's go and set up the next one. And we're going to set it to static, same kind of thing, but this is 221 and jumbo frames, and we're done. All the things I'm doing here, every single thing you can do through the web interface, you can also do with CLI commands. So we have a CLI that runs on Red Hat, Debian, and Windows, so you can script anything from anywhere, and you can also use our REST API. So everything is completely covered by the web, both the web and the CLI and the API set. So let's see, last one is going to be 10.1.222 jumbo frames, and we're good to go. So we're all set up now with a front end network on 10.0.8 and a back end network. You can log into any of these storage appliances and manage what you see here. So QuantaStor's web interface is actually running in all the appliances, and our grid technology keeps the metadata current across all the different nodes. So there was no extra software installed to get access to our web management interface. You just point it at any one of the boxes, and then you form the cluster, or rather the storage grid. So the storage grid, just a little bit more on that. You can keep growing this up to 64 nodes. That's our tested limit. You can just keep adding the IP addresses of additional QuantaStor boxes, put in the admin password that's on that box, click OK, and it's going to absorb more and more appliances in. So as you grow your Ceph cluster or your storage environment, maybe you have a mix of some SAN/NAS configurations and some Ceph configurations, you can just keep expanding, and you can expand across sites as well. So if your Ceph cluster, or you've got different QuantaStor appliances in different locations, you just keep adding appliances and keep growing, so that you don't have to go and manage a bunch of silos of boxes. You can just manage it all as one. We've completed the network setup there. One more thing we want to check is we want to go and look to make sure that we have the domain suffix set on each of these boxes. Ceph will complain if we don't have that set. We also want to make sure that we've got the NTP server set. That looks good. I'm going to go check this on the next box. That looks good. We got our domain suffix set, and the last one, modify, that's set, and we're all good to go. So domain suffixes are set, our network is set up, and we are now ready to go do the actual Ceph setup. This part of it, we should be through it in far less than 5 minutes. Let's give her a go. First step, let's create the Ceph cluster. We're going to do that across all 3 nodes. We want the front end network and the back end network. The UI already detected which 2 networks we've got for those 2 nodes, and we're going to call this Ceph cluster just demo Ceph here. And that's it. So we're going to go create our Ceph cluster, and we'll just keep an eye on it as it goes through. When you run commands in QuantaStor, when you send a command into one of the grid nodes, it's going to launch that command and associate a task with it, and you're going to be able to monitor in real time all the activity. It doesn't matter which node you were logged into, you're going to see everything here in real time across all the nodes. You can see the Ceph cluster formed really quickly in just a few seconds. It set up monitors on the first few boxes. If you set up a Ceph cluster that's bigger, you're going to get 3 monitors by default, and you can go and add additional monitors right here. Just click Add Monitor, and you can add a monitor to any additional node. If you are adding additional QuantaStor appliances to this Ceph cluster, you just say Add Member, and as I was mentioning before, you can manage multiple Ceph clusters within a QuantaStor grid. So say you had 10 appliances, you could have 3 nodes in a Ceph cluster, and the first 3 and the other 7 nodes, or some subset of those being used for another Ceph cluster. So you can divide things up and configure and manage a large, complex and multiple Ceph clusters with the product. Okay, so the cluster is set up, everything's healthy. The next step is to go and create our OSDs. So the OSDs are where all the data is going to be stored in our object store, and we are going to want to take a device from each appliance. I'm doing this demo using some virtual machines that I set up in VMware. So these are QuantaStor virtual appliances. If this was physical hardware, we want to pick devices from this device list that are our journals. You can use the search bar to kind of filter out all the other devices, because this is showing us a list of all the devices that are available on all 3 of these cluster nodes. So here we're going to pick those 3 as our journal. We're going to pick all the rest of them to be used for data. So this is just basically going to do all the work for us. We've picked 4 devices on node 220, 4 OSDs are going to get created on 221, and 4 that are on 222. And these devices, which are SSD storage, these are going to get sliced up into multiple journal partitions and then assigned out to the OSDs up above. So let's get it going. So you can see the job's queued and it's fired up, and it's going to start going and creating the journals. It's also going to go through and start creating XFS storage pools on each and every one of those devices that we're going to turn into an OSD. The latest version of Ceph supports BlueStore. We're currently doing a bunch of R&D around BlueStore, and we're excited about introducing that in a future version of QuantaStor. But today, QuantaStor is based on Joule, and we use XFS-based storage pools underneath the Ceph OSDs. Let's go and click over to this tab so we can see journals and such coming in. The first phase of this is that formation of the pools. So we can actually switch over to this tab and see those pools get created. So you can see these XFS pools are getting created across the different nodes, and they're coming online. You'll see the pools get created on the first node, and then you'll see it fan out and start creating them across all the nodes concurrently. So there's a lot of concurrency technology built into QuantaStor to make the Ceph configuration go really quickly. And so if you've got like a 16 node cluster and hundreds of OSDs to create, the steps that we just went through there, basically those 2 dialogues, create the cluster, then add the OSDs, this is going to save you hours, if not days of time, as it just goes through and automates all the configuration and deployment. So this is almost done. Let's go back to this side, and we should start to see those journals and OSDs get created here. And once the configuration and formation of the OSDs is done, we'll be able to go in and click on the Ceph cluster and see the Ceph cluster dashboard appear, which is going to show us the full health of the cluster. But that phase of it doesn't appear until we've gone and created some pools of storage, because the overall health bar indicates the health of the Ceph pools and the placement groups, and it does it all in a single bar. Now we're down to, we've got 9, one more batch of OSDs to come in here. It should be 10 and 11. 0 through 11 to give us 12 OSDs. That's how many we told it to make, and should be done here in just 1 more minute. You see a couple of the OSDs are still initializing, and when that initialization is complete, what we're going to do is create the object pool group. When you set up object storage with Ceph, you create a series of storage pools, and there's a recipe to how to size those pools, and they work together collectively together, about 10 storage pools, some of them storing metadata, some of them storing the actual data of the S3 object store. We've taken that group of pools and put a concept around it, which we call the object pool group. And that makes it a lot easier to track them, and it makes it such that this storage pool section that we have here to view all of the Ceph pools, it's much easier to keep track of the ones for RBDs versus the ones that are being used for object storage with the object pool group concept in there. So we're just going to just go through and make sure everything's done initializing. Looks like we got just a few more that are finishing initializing. Once Ceph reports back that these things are all normal, exists up, we're going to go do the final step. There we go. Everything's normal. Everything exists, is up. It's time to go create the object pool group. And this is where you're going to pick the data protection mode. So you can pick erasure coding, replica 2, or replica 3. I'm going to pick replica 2. You can pick any of those. If you pick erasure coding, you get some additional choices. You can pick different erasure coding algorithms. You can also put in some, there are some ways to do customizations of the profile and put in custom profiles. For this demo, I'm just going to do a simple replica 2, and it's going to go and set this all up for us. So the object pool group, we're just going to call this Ceph S3 object pool group, or maybe OPG, and we're done. That's it. We've completely set up Ceph start to finish. I'm going to go over here so you can see the object pool group that we created, and you're going to start to see the pools appear in there. So you can see we didn't have to go out to the command line. We were able to create the Ceph cluster. We were able to go and add object storage to our cluster using multi-crate OSDs. That took care of not just the OSDs, but attaching the journals to the OSDs for us. And then we were able to create the pools for our object storage group. When this is all done, this will all get associated with this top level Ceph S3 object pool group. So I've jumped ahead a minute just so to save some time here. You can see that it's created all the underlying pools necessary for our object store. The last thing that we want to do now that we've set up Ceph, set up the OSDs, created our object storage pools, is we want to go create some user accounts. There's a default user account that gets created when you form the Ceph cluster. You can see it's got these, this is your S3 access key and the S3 secret key. You can also access QuantaStor's Ceph-based storage. Ceph supports both S3 and Swift, so you can use either or both protocols. And we're just going to go create a demo user account here, demo user. You can put email address in there if you like. You can adjust and create your own access keys or secret keys. If you're trying to like bring over a bunch of data from Amazon's S3 store into QuantaStor, you might create common access and secret keys if that's helpful. And there we go. I'm going to create the user account. It's done. And that's it for the demo. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please write us at sdr@osnexus.com.